The Democrat escaped with one a few years ago. But the idea is in Nebraska and Maine, it's not winner take all. Let's look at Congress, and we'll go relatively quick on this because I don't want to keep it too long. But you'll notice up here, as far as the Congress is concerned, this is the big one. Do you have any questions about any of the terms? And bear with me while I pull this up. Anything at all?
Ex post facto.
Don't worry about hotline. Don't worry about hotline.
Okay.
Ex post facto.
What was the ex post facto law?
Oh, it was like you can't create a law. Like, let's say, like, I did something like, I created a law and said, hey, you can't, like, arrest me for something that I did, like before the law was made. Like, you can't.
Yeah, if a law you passed it today, when would it typically take effect?
January 1st or July.
Yeah, calendar year, budget year, it's going to take effect in the future. What is it about an ex post facto law that raises the question that you just were talking about?
You could arrest people.
You make it retroactive. So if you passed it today on November 18th, you would make it valid on October the 16th. Ex post facto means after the fact. And this means is that if you made it retroactive, you could arrest and punish somebody for doing something in October when in fact the bill didn't even become law until November 18th. And how could you punish them for something that they didn't know wasn't legal because it didn't get passed until in the future? And what was the example of this?
Sex offender.
Sex offender laws. We just talked about this on Wednesday. Take a good look at protecting our kids and relate that to the sex offender laws, relate that to ex post facto, relate that to the idea that some people are not going to want to protect the sex offenders but protect the kids, and relate it to the idea that ex post facto laws are unconstitutional even though they're trying to protect the kids by punishing sex offenders. Give me another one.
How a bill becomes a law.
Don't worry about that one. Don't worry about that one. Yes?
Section 8 and Section 9.
Section 8 and Section 9. Article 1, Section 8 deals with the powers of Congress. Article 1, Section 9 deals with the limits on the powers of Congress. And this kind of bleeds into powers of the House and powers of the Senate. Make sure that you're comfortable with not just the characteristics, but the powers. So, for example, Article 1, Section 8, I had mentioned to you the idea about treaties and appointments. What branch deals with treaties and appointments exclusively? Senate does, and make sure that you're comfortable with that. When it deals with revenue bills, which branch? House has, are they exclusive?
No.
No, they what?
It needs to be approved by the Senate.
It does need to be approved. What's the House's power on revenue bills?
Starts revenue.
All revenue bills, taxing, spending, these kinds of things have got to be introduced by the House, which at least lets them set the tone of the debate, but at least the Senate gets to vote on it. Senate does not have to share with House treaties and appointments. Majority of the Senate is going to rule that.
Gives the House the advantage because they can determine what's in the bill.
What's in the bill, set the terms of the debate, that kind of a thing. Notice, I think we talked about impeachment in a couple of the classes, but maybe not all of them. Let me go ahead and make sure with impeachment. When somebody is impeached, they are charged with a crime. And it is a simple majority vote of the House of Representatives that will actually charge somebody with impeachment. However, it will be the Senate that tries or acts as a trial court for the charges. It is presided over by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and then attorneys from the House will go and argue in the Senate. Do you know what majority the Senate has to have in order to convict an impeachment? Two-thirds. Make sure that you're good with those. As far as these powers go, take a look at some of these. And you know, we also talked about filibuster, if you remember filibuster. We talked about how the House is more structured, the Senate has more unlimited debate. So there are some differences between what these can do, and explaining some of those might be better than just simply explaining the different characteristics, age, term, membership, stuff like that. What else have you got up here?
Characteristics of the Senate and House.
What were the characteristics at the very opening part of the chapter?
Just like, what do you mean by characteristics?
Yeah, what do I mean by characteristics?
The age.
The age, what's the age?
30.
30 for which?
Senate.
30 for Senate?
25 for House.
25 for the House.
For how long they have been in the United States.
What's that residency requirement?
For the
5 for House, 7 for Senate.
Close.
No,
7 for the House.
7 for House, 9 for Senate. Anything else?
6
Terms.
6-year term for the House.
2 year for House, 6 for Senate. What else is different about those terms?
The election.
What about the
They
election?
run every 2 years House and every 6 years for Senate.
Okay, yeah, that's 2-year terms, 6-year terms. What else is significant about those elections? Every 2 years, the entire House of Representatives is up for election. It's supposed to be the branch that is the most responsive to the will of the people, and you can typically get a majority in one election, lose the majority back in the next election, and then regain it, so it's kind of volatile. That's why they gave the House the revenue powers, the revenue bills, because they wanted revenue, property being so important to people. They wanted the branch most receptive to the people, most responsive to the people to handle
Put
this.
the money in the branch that just updates itself most frequently.
Right. What about the Senate? What's the significance of the 6-year terms?
Oh, it's slower and it's more,
It's slower.
they think.
It's like the
whatever-
saucer under the hot cup of coffee.
Yeah, they catch whatever mistakes the House makes.
Hopefully, but there's something else. Go ahead.
It's like they wanna go slower and then the House wants to go faster. Like,
That's true, but what else?
The bills the Senate passes are typically longer lasting.
Well, it's going to have to pass the House too, so before it becomes a law.
Everything the House passes tends to,
Yes, yeah, both of them have to do it. What's that?
Is this the one where the interim guy usually runs, or is it different?
The incumbent.
Yeah, thank you.
1/3 of the Senate
Yeah.
is up every 2 years. So it's designed to slow down the process. Make sure that you're comfortable with that. And don't forget about gerrymandering in here, because, you get to set up your own districts. And one of the lines, there's a number of statistics from the
Is that
gerrymandering article.
related to reapportionment?
Yeah.
Okay.
And reapportionment is the redrawing of the
Okay.
districts
Okay.
based on the new Senate numbers, because all of the districts are supposed to be one person equals one vote. They're supposed to be equal.
reapportionment was when they redraw lines. Gerrymandering is when they redraw lines to give themselves an advantage in an election.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Anything